Welcome, Watch Kansas. I'm David French, the state representative for the 40th District, and I'm joined today by Dave Buehler, who is running for that position since I'm retiring this year. So Dave, welcome to Watch Kansas, and our goal today is to introduce you to the viewers. Can you give us a brief description of yourself and where you've been and what you're doing, and who is Dave Buehler?
Sure. Again, thanks for having me, David.
Sure.
I'm Dave Buehler. I'm running for Kansas House of Representatives for the 40th District. And my wife Lisa and I came to this community in 1984 and raised our family here and have been a part of this community, Leavenworth and Lansing, since then. And what is unique, maybe a little bit about me, is the fact that I spent 36 years working for Hallmark Cards, 25 years of which was here in the Leavenworth community, both at the Hallmark Cards plant and at the Select Products plant. 10 years at the corporate facility, and in that span, in a variety of positions. So that's one body of work that I have. The second part of that, though, is my Navy career. Commissioned as an ensign in 1994 and just retired as a captain in 2020, May of 2020. And for those of you who may be interested in what a captain is in the Navy, as opposed
It's not an Army captain.
It's not an Army captain. No, it's a big captain. And so it's the
colonel equivalent in the Army.
Colonel equivalent, or as we say, a colonel is a captain equivalent in my service.
Oh, okay.
So again, there's the Hallmark experience, there's a Navy experience, but being part of this community, for me, this is where my family grew up, and we raised our kids. They went to Lansing High School.
And you have how many kids?
I have 3 children. All of them are adults. Have two granddaughters from my daughter. But in the course of the last 36 years, I was on the Alliance Against Family Violence's board of directors for a total of 14 years, I think.
That's good.
I think my service with the Alliance ended with my last deployment to Kuwait. Also on the St. Francis de Sales Pastoral Council and Finance Committee for about 10 years. And when my kids were little, I coached them in every sport they were in, and I'll say this again, except basketball, because I'm a terrible basketball player and I'm not very tall. But did coach wrestling, football, baseball, t-ball, and had a blast with it. And then, of course, was also involved in scouting with my 2 sons. So that commitment to this community is what I bring, and then I bring with that my Hallmark and my Navy experience. So that's me.
That's you. That sounds like quite a resume you have there, and I think we can all appreciate that. That's a full life already, and so you've now decided to jump into being a legislator or trying to be a legislator. I noticed on that you have a campaign motto of proven leadership. Can you go on and explain a little bit more what you mean by that and how you can use that in a position in the legislature?
Sure. And that goes a little bit back to when I was talking about who I am. My combined Hallmark experience, and again, at Hallmark, I started out as a section manager or a shift supervisor, and worked my way up in this community to the plant production manager twice. And in that capacity, I was responsible for both the Hallmark Cards and the Select Products facility, and managed 900 people. All of the production operations rolled up under me. So it was hiring, it was staffing, it was production schedules, it was all those things.
Everything that has to do with leadership. I understand.
Absolutely. And it's a tremendous responsibility. I grew a lot in that, and I learned from a lot of people. And then on the Navy side, again, I was commissioned as an ensign and retired as a captain. And in that capacity, I had a variety of staff jobs, from operations, mostly in logistics. But I also was selected for commanding officer billets 6 times, twice as a lieutenant commander, twice as a commander, and twice as a captain. And the Navy has, I'm sure it's like the Army, when you first become a commanding officer, you have to read and understand what's called the charge of command. And in that capacity, you are not only responsible for the mission, you're responsible for each and one of your sailors, for their professional development, for their training, for for establishing the right ethical leadership, and everything in between. And it's a tremendous responsibility. It's one of the most awesome experiences I've ever had. And when I look at those 2 things, when I look at the Navy experience and I add that to the Hallmark experience, that is the proven leadership I'm talking about. And if you look at my yard signs, at the bottom it says a lifetime of leadership. And that's what I bring to this job. And and as the next legislator for the 40th district.
I know that I've learned that having good leadership in our government is so critical, and unfortunately we don't have enough good leaders. Often we have followers that don't mind following somebody else but won't step up and be leaders, and so I think that skill set that you're bringing can be invaluable to the legislature. This is your first time in to run for public office, I believe, and so I'm sure this has been an eye-opener for you.
Yes, it has.
Can you explain a little bit about, I mean, you're 3 months into the campaign, you got another 2 months before the general election, so can you kind of explain what you've learned as far as what it takes to be campaigning for a position like this, and what kind of surprises have come along since you started this back in May? I'm sure you've been surprised many times of the things that have come up that you weren't expecting. So kind of talk a little bit about your campaign so far and how it's going.
It's funny you mention that because before I jumped into this with both feet, my family were asking me, what are you going to do after the Navy? And I always say, I'm going to figure this out. And at one point I was thinking about having a summer vacation until David and I started talking about this opportunity. And I realized very quickly that given my background, given the things that I'm passionate about, that I can do this job and I can do it well. What I didn't have at the time, and again, it was pretty short notice, or as we would say in the military, it was a short fuse kind of thing. It was, I can do the job, but what I need around me is I need a team that can help. I need a team that has done the campaigning part. I know at some point I'll be learning the legislative process, but what I needed was a team that could help me understand everything from here's how you map out the campaign so many months out. Here's what you have to do for yard signs, for literature cards, for mailings. This is how you knock on a door. All of those things that, unless you've ever done this, you have no appreciation for it. And I would say this, I have a much greater appreciation today for anybody, regardless of party, who does this. Everybody should be commended, our political servants, David included, who's done this, because it is a taxing job. You lose your anonymity to some degree, and you have to be out there doing this every single day. I know that November the 8th is coming up. It'll be here before we know it. And I just hope that I leave no stone unturned between now and then, and now on election day. That's what I've learned.
And it is just like the military, you've made many sacrifices in your military career, I'm sure. Leaving family at home and deploying. The same thing is true with being in public office. You make a lot of sacrifices, and you got to be willing to make those sacrifices for the people you represent. So I'm sure you can handle it. There shouldn't be any problem. Thank you, Dave, for joining us tonight. I think you have shown us that you can bring a lot of skill sets to the position, and we look forward to further talking to you about other parts of your platform, your principles, and anything else you would like to talk about. So thank you, Dave, for being here tonight and joining Watch Kansas.
You bet. Thank you so much. It's a great opportunity.